Alright, so I came into this game wanting to practice a bit of Jarvan. I've been learning to play jungle lately, and yeah. So I started this game by going toward their blue side, because I can easily switch to Sweeper Trinket as soon as I back. So I'm not sure if I'm warding in the right spot, all things considered, but I want to go swap to Sweeper. So my jungle pathing this game, I planned on just doing a simple buff Gromp buff, because that hits me level 3. And since Jarvan is a heavily ganking jungler, I wanted to make sure that I got level 3 as soon as possible and just start ganking some lanes. My laners had CC that they could follow up with, so I knew I could get some early ganks in, especially on mid lane, which is where I go first. TF is very immobile, and Syndra sets up the stun really well, and we just get a clean kill. So that ends up going really well, and I decided to go bot lane to check out what's happening. Thresh goes for a hook on Kai'Sa, and I immediately go in. And we burn a flash, we don't get the kill, but in a situation like that, when we would have to tower dive, burning the flash is perfectly fine. So I just take Gromp here, or Scuttle, and I immediately go over to check if Evelyn's on the second one, because I hadn't seen Evelyn too much this far. So I see that, and I decided to go into her jungle knowing she's topside, mess with her at Gromp, and then try and gank here top lane, get the Jax's flash, which is also fine. So far I've ganked 3 lanes. I go back top lane to make sure that Jax doesn't kill Aurelia on the TP. Aurelia TP's back in here. I stay to make sure he doesn't get killed in the TP, and then I go back to farming. So I hadn't bought this far, so I had a bit of gold to spend. So I think I clear chickens here. I'm after this, so I go to buy. They end up picking up. They get killed bot lane, but I'm pretty sure they picked up the kill. Yeah, they pick up some kills bot lane. Their bot lane, it was very bloody. The bot lane. Kai'Sa was fed early on, but anyways, yeah, the Kog'Maw became a problem later in the game. If I go back, I noticed in the chat that he changed to Smite, so I knew they were trying to Drake. So I go in on the TF here, and I have to find a way to get myself out, so I flash out. But then Syndra comes in and starts getting kills, so I jump back in, EQ on the Kog'Maw, and start beating him up. Syndra manages to get in with one more Q, or an auto attack, and get the kill here. I managed to juke out the Kog'Maw here, and I get hooked once again. And I know the Thresh is about to kill me, but my EQ comes up, so I continue the CC chain on him and keep walking away. And I just keep walking. He flashes to try to kill me, but it doesn't matter. And then, since all of them were dead, and we knew we could, we go to the dragon. The Evelyn is even with me in levels, but she'd have to commit a lot to get into the pit, so even if she got the dragon, she'd end up dying. But I smite it well, and we end up killing her. That's a massive momentum swing for our team. We almost get a 3k gold lead, and then we swiftly die twice across the map. So at this point, I'm pretty low, so I just have to keep farming. And my Aurelia makes it clear that she wants some help topside. So now that Drake is down bot side, the only thing really important coming up is a Scuttle. But I'm fine with losing that to Evelyn if it means helping get this Aurelia back up to par with the Jax, because currently she was down in farm and 0-1. This Aurelia did say that she was trying to learn Aurelia, so I wasn't expecting great things. She went to Wit's End first, which is kind of meh, but even though I said I was going top, I come for the gank here because the fight is starting. And then Aurelia dies top as I'm ganking mid, which I felt kind of bad about. But I go top to stop Jax from pushing down the tower and getting more plates and increasing the lead. I clear the wave, so the minions will be about even, so it makes the Jax's back worse. And I go back to clearing some camps. And bot lane continues to be a slaughter fest. Jax finishes his Bork, which is a big issue, because later when I try to gank him, he does a lot of damage to me. So I sweep the pit here on the Rift Herald. The Evelyn was so weak that I wasn't really scared of her contesting me really on this Rift Herald. So I ended up just smiting it. Here I wanted the Aurelia to take it, because I knew she'd use it well top lane. And also I wanted to be able to sweep this, because I thought this was warded, with the way that the Jax was moving. But it ended up not being warded. But that Q auto dealt so much to me, because just the Jax had a Bork. Item is crazy right now. I keep trying to loop around for a gank, but it can't really seem to find anything, so I just take the fruit. And I think I come in one last time for a gank, but this time it's warded. But we still end up... I die, but we end up getting a kill. So, things are happening across the map. Even though Evelyn's here, she doesn't get much down in the Syndra. Bot lane's getting pushed in because of weird things that happen, but whatever. I'm back alive. I have Rift Herald, so mainly what I'm trying to do now is contest Drake and try and get a good Herald bot lane. So, I noticed that bot's pretty pushed in, but I want to take the Scuttle first to maintain Drake control. I was scared that the Evelyn was on the Drake at this moment, so I clear some wards and then walk up to try and gank, but I thought they had it warded because of how they backed off, but it wasn't. But then they go for a hook, TF ults in, and we just collapse on him. We have to back off a little bit, but Syndra roams bot and really picks things up. I come in for the help here, and even though Evelyn kills them all, I managed to chase her down and get a solo kill with my ult using Challenging Spite. And because everyone's dead, I realized I could just drop Herald bot lane, probably get the tower. It's not ideal, like dropping a bot, especially with only me there, but I was running low on Herald time, so I decided it would be as good as time as any, as long as it guaranteed a tower instead of 2 charges. It wasn't the best case scenario, but it's what we could do. So I sweep on my way back to make sure I'm not backing on any wards. And top lane is going a little better now. The Aurelia managed to shut down the Jax, even though she rushed to Wit's End, which is kind of meh, but whatever. It ended up working out in the end. She was down 20 farm, down a couple kills, but regardless, it worked fine. So bot lane asks for another gank here, so I decided to come in. They try to dive, and I just try to go immediately onto the Kog'Maw, but switch back onto the Thresh, because he was between me and the Kai'Sa. Another kill here top. The Kai'Sa was fed, but also since the Janna died so much, the Kog'Maw was also getting fed. And the Kog'Maw became a pretty big issue, because there were some fights where Kog'Maw, I couldn't get onto him and dive him hard enough, and that was pretty much my job in fights. And if I couldn't get onto him hard enough, then nothing much really happened, and Kog'Maw would just shred our team from the backline because his W, Bork, and Rageblade doubling his autos. Drake's still up, so I want to try and start getting more Drakes. So I decided to kind of play around bot side here. But after I clear some wards, I noticed that a bunch of them are coming in, and we decided to start dancing around Drake here. A key thing is that Syndra wasn't here, and I see 3 of them down here, and I'm trying to look for an EQ. I'm trying to get Kog'Maw an EQ. I see that it's a 4v3, and I decide to go for it. I don't get the Kog'Maw. I ult getting 2 of them, but the Kog'Maw shreds me. They had a pretty good Zhonya's from the TF. They TP in. Evelyn comes from behind and just shreds our team. And Syndra tries to clean up, even though because at this point Syndra's pretty fed. She was 8-1. But we end up getting wiped here. The only person who lives is Kai'Sa, and they get the Drake. So at that point, I should have just waited for Syndra. It would have meant having to go for a steal. But I saw the 3 of them lined up, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity to try to go for one. But it ended up backfiring on me. So at this point, it's just blue team trying to siege mid tower. We do some fighting here. People die. I jump in, get some people. But at this point, Kog'Maw's still pretty scary. I see Evelyn on this ward here, and I'm just trying to hover mid because they're clearly trying to siege. But I also need to make sure that top doesn't go down. And when I go top to try to stop the Jax, Syndra trades, which is not the best, but it's also not the worst. This fight was really weird because I had a really nice stopwatch, but they just kept running in one by one at us. So we just kept picking up kills and picking up kills. And at this point, I was kind of like, oh, we could Baron. But after I took a little bit and checked everyone's health bars, I was like, nah, we can't really. So I decided to just go clear some more jungle camps, get some more gold. At this point, I was down in CS, but my fight presence was so much more than the Evelyn's. Evelyn had 4 KP and I had 21. So I was pretty global, pretty worldwide. I was going GA here. I got just enough for my GA on this back, and I was pretty stacked damage-wise. I was pretty tanky, but also pretty damage stacked. And so we begin looking for a fight here. They end up getting the tower, but I'm still looking for this Kog'Maw. This Kog'Maw is the person to kill in fights. He's 14 and 6. He's got a bounty. He's hitting 3 people with his on-hit effects. And so I go to sweep a little bit, as per usual, wondering if there are any wards, and I get hooked. But think about this hook. Kog'Maw walks up. So I just jump on him, kill him. The fight's happening from here. Kai'Sa jumps in, but she's so fed it doesn't really matter. The rest of the team is chumps besides Kog'Maw. So we gotta kill off this, and we just decide, like, you know what? We can just Baron. So we go to Baron, start taking it, and it's, all things considered, it's just a pretty clean Baron. But my team decides to back. Honestly, I think they could have stayed because Dragon's coming up. So I go immediately to Dragon. I'm full at mana. I have just taken some damage. The Jax decides to not go on me, even though he saw me on his ward, which was confusing to me. Here, I jump in, try to steal it, don't get it. Aurelia actually lands a pretty nice stun. I'm trying to back off, but then I realized we can go in on this. I jump on the Kog'Maw, I die, but the TF is stuck in here, and my GA goes off. So I end up living, dealing a bit more damage. The Kog'Maw steps really far up. I'm frantically pinging him, and we get the kill here. Kai'Sa has a really nice flash on the Jax, and yeah, the rest. The Evelyn's stuck behind our team. I forget if the Evelyn and the TF got out, but I think here we just decide, yeah, let's just siege. Even though we didn't get the Drake, it was still a pretty good fight for us, and we have like a 2k gold lead. Yeah, Kai'Sa just walks up here and bonks them. So at this point, Kai'Sa is still pretty crazy fetch. She's died a bit less than Kog'Maw, which is good. The Kog'Maw is really stepping up too far. Yeah, the Evelyn comes in. Don't know what she was trying to do. So, oh, did I rewind? Oopsies. So we get the tower, and everyone decides to reset. I'm just like, let's keep farming. I'm still behind in CS a little bit. I tell Kai'Sa she can have the red, because she's much more fed than I'm going to be. And I just go back to clearing wards. Vision control, I think, is something that junglers can do really well, that not a lot of people do. They're like, oh, I'm a carry, but just buy a bunch of control wards, buy sweepers, and you're almost a secondary support, but you actually deal damage. Here, the Jax is pushing top, but we could just win the base race with my AoE attack speed, and we just go in and end the game. So, I think that game was played well. I think I had some issues with smite control, especially around that first Drake. I smited, I think, my blue buff or my Gromp right before TF switched to smite. So that means they had 2 smites, and we had none. It somehow ended up working out, unlike all the other Drakes, which was very strange. But that is something I need to work on. I need to control my smites better. Also, I need to know when to peel off of camps. There were some times when fights would happen, and I wouldn't peel off the camp in time, and someone would die for it, and I wouldn't be able to get anything. Yeah, and I also need to manage when I go into fights, because that one fight around the second Drake that made us lose it, where I jumped in on the Kog'Maw and didn't even get him, my team couldn't even really follow up if I had gotten the Kog'Maw in the ult, if I had decided to ult him. So that was just a poorly engaged fight by me. But the rest of the game, I played pretty well. I had a 27 out of 40 KP. I got Syndra fed. I snowballed bot a little bit, but that was kind of out of my control, and I managed to mitigate some damage top lane on our Aurelia. She was learning the champ, so I don't really hold her that high in regard. I don't blame her for losing lane to the Jax. Plus, it's a pretty tough matchup. So that's about it. Thank you for watching.